This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks. This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
Thank you for staying tuned. It still is the Hello Africa Morning Show on AAU TV. My name is Naomi Darko and I'm going to be your host. Now we're going to delve straight into our top African news story. African University officially launched its strategic plan for the period 2024-2030, setting a new direction for higher education. The virtual launch we took
task force also did some research and scanned the environment and eventually came up with this new strategic plan.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think you asked me about what it's about.
Yeah.
So it has a number of focal areas.
Okay.
Which are quite distinct and unique. There's an emphasis on the policy advocacy.
Okay.
And linking to policies that are developed by the African Union and also global policies.
Okay.
But also in terms of policy, we will continue our advocacy for higher education in Africa. And we will continue to be the voice of higher education in Africa. We are also placing emphasis on research. Research will be a big issue in this strategic plan. Research excellence, research management, large-scale research programs to solve developmental challenges in Africa. We'll also place emphasis on mobility, engaging the diaspora, addressing emerging issues such as artificial intelligence, ICT for teaching, education and learning. We'll also place a huge emphasis on harmonization of African higher education. Things like the African Credit Transfer System, Pan-African Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency. So in brief, those are some of the focal areas.
Yes. Okay. Now let's look at how beneficial it will be to our member institutions or even our partners that we work with.
Yeah, our member institutions are the key stakeholders for us because we're a membership institution. Everything that we do really must service the member institutions. So we looked at the challenges that member institutions are facing. They still need capacity building. They still need to network more closely. They need to establish networks of collaboration. They need to work together. They need to be connected to diaspora. They need to be connected to funding opportunities. So in terms of the AFRID network, for example, which is one of the focal areas, we are really going to go big in terms of nurturing and creating thematic networks. Because our member universities told us that they value being connected to each other. Yeah, those in pharmacy want to be connected to each other. Those involved in agriculture want to be connected to each other. So we'll will be responding
Okay.
to some of those interests. In terms of our stakeholders, I think biggest stakeholders like the governments, they continue to want to see universities being more impactful. So this strategic plan will try and respond to the issues around what is the purpose of a university, what value are the universities bringing in, what problems are the universities responding to. We'll also respond to our development partners, of course, based on our mutual interest.
Yeah. Okay. But I think you've mentioned quite a lot. I see that it's like the the new strategic plan addresses some of the challenges that we're already facing in terms of higher education on the continent. Now I'm looking at its impacts or how it's going to propel our higher education sector to be put on the global landscape, in terms of like the global landscape. What is the vision of the AAU in terms of higher education in Africa?
I think this will be represented by, for example, scaling up the concept of centers of excellence, because we would like African universities to match global standards. Students who come and learn in Africa mustn't feel there's a lower quality of education. We want the Harvards of Africa to be here in Africa with the same quality of research, same quality of services to students, same quality of laboratory infrastructure. So we are really using partnering, collaborations, peer-to-peer learning to be able to bring the global perspectives and also the required standards in terms of what a university is.
Okay, so you've touched on collaboration and partnership, and you've also spoken about the new strategic plan's benefits to our member institutions and even our partners. What kind of supports? I'm just curious, because I believe collaboration and partnership is two ways. We take from the people also take from us, or the benefits is always mutual. How or what kind of support would the AAU need from its member institutions?
I think what we need from our member institutions is to look at our strategic plan as they also revise their own strategic plans, so that they understand the direction that is the continental body we are taking. Would also like our member universities to ensure as they develop their own plans, they look at continental education plans, global education plans. So their plans and what they're doing must not be inward looking, but it must be outward looking. So we consider this document as a reference point to guide the universities also as they develop their own programs and their own strategies. We also expect them to help us in implementing it by participating in the programs that we will be developing, by also participating in the various fora, continental discussions. For example, next year we have the General Conference, which happens every 4 years. Every 2 years we have the core review. So we expect member institutions to be enthusiastic about those fora, because that is where they can drive higher education beyond their own countries by understanding what's happening in the continent.
Right. So I am now looking at what mechanism will be used to measure the success of this new strategic plan. We have these focal areas that we are working on. We have our member universities collaborating with us. We have our partners collaborating with us and us with them as well. I just want to know what will be the mechanism to measure whether or not we have achieved the goals of this new strategy plan when it's ended in 2030?
There are clear indicators per
Okay.
each of the strategic result areas. There are commitments that we are making in terms of what we want to achieve. For example, when we speak about policy engagement, the indicators are clear what we will be doing and how we want to measure. So we have a very strong monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework. We also have a theory of change. We will be developing a sort of quarterly reviews, 6-monthly reviews, yearly reviews. There's a reporting template that each of those people implementing the different programs will be using to report to the strategic result areas.
Okay. Well, I think you have touched on all of the things that we would want our member institutions to know. And so I thank you for joining us today to give us more details about the AAU's strategic plan. And we hope that the AAU achieves the goals that are highlighted in the plan as well. Thank you, Ms. Lamini, for joining us. Before we go on a break, I would want us to take this video of how the launch was done in-house at the AAU Secretariat.
The AAU's revised strategic plan is the result of a bottom-up development process prioritizing intellectual engagement on critical issues. This approach aims to address Africa's developmental aspirations in a rapidly changing global environment. The plan underscores the significant contributions of African higher education to international development agendas, including the Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's Agenda 2063. For the 2024 to 2030 period, the AAU has outlined 5 strategic key areas of focus. These include promoting a favorable higher education policy environment across Africa, strengthening the capacity of AAU member institutions, harmonizing and standardizing higher education on the continent, advancing research excellence, and fostering innovations to impact both the education system and Africa's overall development. As part of the plan, the AAU has also introduced new focal areas including enhancing higher education access and mobility, responding to emerging issues, and building the African higher education space to ensure quality education for skills and competencies. Other focal areas include the AAU Diaspora Program, AAU Television and Public Broadcasting, and the African Research Innovation and Development Network, AFRED. The AAU remains committed to its role as a platform of discussions on higher education issues in Africa, with key resolutions to be shared and disseminated to all relevant stakeholders. The organization looks forward to the continued support of the African higher education community in realizing the objectives of this ambitious plan.
This program is proudly sponsored by Vena Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
Still within the bubbly mode, we're bringing you the lifestyle segment as usual, and today's segment is a special one. Have you ever heard of anyone holding a PhD in one of Ghana's strongest languages called Twi? Allow me to just tell you about it, okay? So our guest today is one of Ghana's very illustrious and cherished broadcasters. She is Dr. Nana Enima Wiafe Akenten. She is a trailblazer in Ghanaian media and education. She served as the former head of the Akan Nzema department at the College of Languages Education at Jumahu Campus University of Education, where she currently serves with the University of Media Arts, GIJ. And she has made history as the first person to earn a PhD in Twi language, one of the major Akan dialects. And she's no stranger to the media space. From 2003 to 2013, she worked with GTV as a news anchor, hosted the popular culture and tradition program, A Memory Fie, on Asempa FM, and also led the Akan News Division at the Top Radio and Radio Universe right here in Accra, Ghana. So today, I go on an English holiday as I come home and say, Doc, more power.
Yeah,
Splendid. You actually embody the culture and heritage of Africa as a daughter of the soil. How do you feel about that?
It feels great because it's been a passion, and I have followed it till now. And I said it feels great. I am happy because it wasn't something for myself, but to share with Ghanaians in general. Whether an ethnic group of an Ewe, Ga, Dagomba, the northern languages, Dagari, Gadangbe, Akan, as in the Twi, the Fanti, the Bono, sharing knowledge and always reminding us that we have a cultural heritage. We have this legacy that our forefathers left for us that embodies our knowledge, our pride, knowledge with things around us that can be utilized to the benefit of our society, sort of way of speaking etiquette for our children, a way we bring them up with Ifie, Nyansa, Sof, all of that are needed for us to use whilst we are governing, we are building our country, and also for our economic development in terms of also work with it to make ends meet.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The biggest question at the moment is why, amongst all the PhD areas, you chose Twi language? What inspired you?
It started from childhood in primary school. My first inspiration was my dad. He was the late dad, Uncle Biahene of Akwetia.
Okay.
And before then, my grandfather was also Ochiame Kwejo Donko Yabua. Yeah, was also the first Ochiame of Akwetia. So I'm from traditional
Absolutely.
home. Yes, and our first chief, Ohimin Kwetia,
Okay.
he was a broadcaster, news anchor on GTV. Yes, so anytime he was on air and we were sitting watching our chief, I was so inspired. I was like, hey, Misumini that you may be a medemicrum kasa. He said, you may career, choosing a career that I'll be using my mother tongue. Then there's a need to learn and acquire more knowledge than just speaking. So it started from there. And I was fortunate, I pursued it from primary. I attended St. Rose's Secondary School. Yes, so at St. Rose's, I was interested in languages. So I offered, I think, French, English, literature, then Twi. Yes, and we had a very good, loving mother teacher, Miss Opoku. She was there. So the interest grew. And after St. Rose's, I was able to, pass entered university where I met people like Professor Jekun, Professor Yanka, Prof. Dolphine, you know, Professor Sam and all of that. And I was like, hey, and then say trees and pennyfoot teacher ne womunso yet linguistics, yeah, can linguistics. So the interest grew from there and I pursued it, you know, to that level. And fortunately, when I entered university too, I joined radio. I had the opportunity to join Radio University as well. So I was the producer for Prof. Ejekun Efisem. And Efisem actually started this morning show that we use the Akan, the indigenous language. That is where we started at Radio University, Efisem, Prof. Ejekun. And I was a producer, being mentored. So that is how we started, taking inspiration from my lecturers, and then we realized that, hey, my passion, interest, career interest of becoming a broadcaster and then a teacher, lecturer, and mother tongue, there's the need to learn it, you know, not just speaking, but in depth. I need to get in-depth knowledge and understanding. So that is how the dream started, and this is where I have come to with a PhD in Ghanaian language. But my concentration was language, political use of language, sociocultural context usage of language. It's sort of under ethnography of communication.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Rafakenten, I want to present this matter to you. Today, we have had so many stories that Africa, Ghana, we have sold our heritage. Today, we are being island alone. How do you feel the stigma?
Interesting. People used to look down on our languages, especially some of us who had interest and were pursuing it. You know, some people ask, Nti oba invest in ntumi nya course biya nye. And some will ask, hey, nti era fefe say ntu
One we ask.
You know, era fefe say nti oba invest in ntumi nya course biya. I don't know how era fefe, and then the learning of Ghanaian language, you know, back extent to which we look down upon what we have, our own.
Yes.
So it's felt somehow sometimes discouraging, but now I say that with the proliferation of the radio stations that broadcast in our just need competence, proficiency or fluency in it to be able to use it in your field of work or career. You really need to learn into the syntax of it, the structure, you know, of the languages like the English. You need to learn the semantics of it, the choice of words. And if you learn the semantics and then the pragmatics of the word of the language, and you want to radio so but na papa netimi ewu. It's like unim say learning the syntax, the semantics of it, the pragmatics of the language, to me is not something of volition. Obin to me shut down. I just say what Tony Conway was saying. It's a what's ya I can and I say what's ya or mother tongue. No, the structure just like we learn the English. Unim say a brewe, a dear mudu, ye cast a tam, a dear moha, ye cast a fa. And now say accident, si kohese nipe to me a woo, send Americano. Nipen to me wusa, right? Ebi also can we rare one for sebe there be sebe strategic communication sebe ya DFA, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that we look down upon it, but it's a subject area. It's a course you need to learn to be able to be competent in the use of the language. I mean, in the media, apart from the insult and all of that, look at a time we had what we call politics of insult. You know, where political campaign people were just insulting, you know, so what's your casano now? Can I was your way no money now? When him say, Penimo, Yendinatum,
Okay.
Udinatama, ye yenim guasia ebro busia for no. Yen so your spiritual, there's an implication. Udi peniatama, ota won kwaso. Even Bible cry wom, Nanso never, yen shadan kan ye casana, yen sia sa niama we nyina nti no. Ama yen tetiye, there's wisdom, there's knowledge, there's a traditional way, wisdom, wise way aye nananom, you know, utilize all these omudi bu mind, edited say yen, efa ye kasa ho, can we, men can we, ye yan kasa as is in the English. As English, you say, if you are speaking, you should know who, where, how, usia kan kasa na. With the pragmatics, with the ethnography of communication, the field that I did, kasa so who bre, kasa, you know, time in the morning, presenting news, na say, yen ananum no money nyansa pa in the morning, presenting news, na say, uwu asem, and I say, bibi a fa, yane, Prophet Jekun scatological flutes, sebi intesio, and I say, Johnson yane, anopetutu to be didi. It's no bossa, and so man no moto, into yes to sebi. Sebi natures ade na eba no time into ne sebie into me ba baby sana be hu se na sebi na ya se na ye ne ya no ama na duro sin say o kai na watra na watro keke so ho into no ne kasa ni sua mu no nso no ye twi kasa de na so we also have what we call oneye ene oniso crowd de kasa a ma obitimi hu o kasa na chi se we na o pa cha na se we na person kan ni nyina twi na mesua na wo mu ethnography of communication na wo mu. So what we call the prosodic aspect of the language and then the kinesthetic aspect of the language. And into na penifo kasa to de bia oneye kra kan asem esen wano ade kan to de bia onisuo ne kwa ade kan asem ne kwa no oneye a ode kan no anasa asempɔte na wo kan no kwa no enisuo ne ma yehu ne a wo pa kire na chi and the tire na ta wo campaign political and I say, you know, a man named Mamu and Tim, and also into the prosodic and the kinesthetic aspect. Nina, Ubesia Winina, Cinema who said, be a wee bian, Ukranim dear, ewo kasa, wa mamre, na boa with Juma, no one who send any pabi dinky tahu, no one who bre, be a ye nipa no mokasa kwa, send your becanafa.
In fact, all those who were saying that, hey, Oba, come and apologize. Because the prosodic and the kinetic effect, you know, you need to embody the language.
Yes. You need to learn.
Dr. Rafaka, did you also appreciate the part, all said and saying, we the youth of these days, ye kasano, said ye be cano, said ye be to me, a shetty biano putting ya canon na, and more benyam no cry a yasam. Na and no. Ejuma efie akwantu nti awofo kram tumi nyam branche yam mano se ye kasa se ye ka ni we din so akoto epono so inso ye to into se ye kasa bia se ye wo mi asantini ana say I was born in Asantini meti kasa no endempo obitumi kotontoma na wakoto keke okoto na ni panse egugo ho o de akobi birthday na what impelifo was then I was shade abahe and also
and I make a ye kasa no so e bi ensenkyere ne ye kasa o esa sentoma na hodo no so no nyina duku kura obebo ene sene a wafa wo nyina wa asekyere enti no entoma ne wakobo duku na wo kompanifo ana ahemfie na wakobo duku na odi akyere wachi no eno no ye frɛ ne sɛ sebi duku na se cheni bikwase ya bi de machi ebi onso aye chia na efre ni se bi memfi ta enti no wakwa akọ boduku we na de kwa ahemfi a ye bedi watam ana se ye bebi da na ya na ne ha adwen ne se ye mmisa se na wayo na we ofifie ben mu ne maame ne hwan ne papa ne hwan adan na ya ntitu yi enti we nyina ya de a se wonim a onkoye se wonim na wo ye ne ese wo ye na wo fa ho wa ho fa de no why ne kama se ne o se na wrai ana branch ofi he na nia bie pa ya tete ne ofie pa o na aka wo ne wabusuafo nyina nti ya de a onkofa ntoma bi a twom se hu nya mi hu na ade akọ mpani anim a na asa ahemfie wo wanya asam a odifo no na wasan akọ akofa ntoma hu nya mi hu e de akọ ahemfie ye beba oka nyenso nka wonim a anka ba ye ne a edi ahobrase kwa ne aka bi ama e na wafa ho akọ akodi nti wenum nya ya de hia se insuo no wo ka sei insuo no o ka so say da ipo
ade a emu o hande emu de risi ho ne de to ho
ye woni ade si woni de anu ya pragmatics no ebre era obeka asem bi ebedi dwuma bi a nsunsuanso a ohwehwe papa no o ka asem bi a ana asemfo bi a ne a ohwehwe se obenya nsunsuanso papa no ubenya ni a wopɛ sɛ utiefo no yɛma no obetimi ayɛ ama wo yɛmfa nso ɔbaa bi ne okunu wɔ hɔ na wohia ade a na wakɔ akɔgye no under pragmatic under honorifics akrokro ne adefe kasa na ohia bibia na wakɔ oh mira da no akora ne school fees na aka so betua no won say time ko dada wontu yan obeka ma menwe me ho me ka say metua de menye ska oh sweetheart mira pacho na akora ne fee no ebre ko wonim say san so kwa anya ne apam no oh wakai me wo de mebo modin ayema so when no so practice sani ofa akasa ani so ade kan ye nsemfu ade kan ye sani a wo hwe hu nipa ne na kasade ebu ne ani de no saa no so be ya ama wo nti ne nyina ye theory yesua wo akan kasam ni ameka ho asem we say under speech act enne ya ne se ni akan asem no nti wo kan asem no speech act so wo nti no ni ye locutionary ni awoka ene ni a wan kasa mfiri wanu ma woka nti twi no mesua we nya efe no kasa nsunsuanso kasapa edin nsunsuanso paba kasabone edin nsunsuanso muaye bone ene bebra wo
twetwasoma mwate yen kanokwa. We don't just say it, you have to understand it. Stay with us, we'll be right back. It's tree in school.
Hello, Africa. Keep watching AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks. This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
It's been an interesting moment with Dr. Nana Enima Wiafe-Akenten. She is a lead in languages at UNIMAG GIJ. And so, Doc, you have actually established, I would say, a very compelling premise about language, its essence, significance, and understanding to everybody who speaks it. And the Twi language, whether we like it or not, is a dominant language in Ghana that can't be overlooked. So one way or the other, within our business, political, social, somebody would speak Twi just to get understanding driven to a group of people. So it's important that you have this background, very deep-rooted in the language, and also implore others to do so as well. Let me just switch. Today, with your current role at UNIMAG, what do you seek to achieve with the students, and what are you trying to drive right into them and into that world of work with the Akan language and its diverse features around it?
Okay, yeah. So with UNIMAG School of Languages and then the journalism and NAFTI, three of us together, yes, we are starting language, Akan language, usage and culture. It's not only for the Akan. We're starting with Akan, but gradually we will move to Ewe language. We will move to Ga, Gadangbe, the 7, let me say, standard Ghanaian languages that we use. When I was, I don't know, I was a Akan news presenter. Okay. On GTV. Okay. So those were the languages that we were using, which represented the other regions. Yeah. So we are starting with Akan. We are starting this program where, people of all background, we are targeting the Akan, the indigenous language broadcasters, yes, to come and pursue this short course. Yes. But it's not only for Akan, as I always say. If we get students in Ewe, Ga, Ewe. I teach voice and speech as well. phonetic pronunciation of the indigenous languages. Yes, so with the Akan, how to pronounce, as if we all say dabi, debi, vowels, so how to pronounce them correctly as well. So with the, interestingly, I teach phonetics general.
Great.
Yes, so whatever I do, I don't do only Akan. My mother tongue is Akan, but I don't do only, because it's for Ghana. Yes, so I encourage the other ethnic groups. So sometimes I teach the other languages as well. So when I'm teaching phonetics in Ghanaian language, and then even the students, I ask them, say, ewe. I said, Debbie, yenka ewe. When I say, like, ohene tobi apede. Nedina yeka tobi afede. But apede. So all of that we learn. So when it comes to Unimark School of Languages, we teach phonetics, pronunciation, we teach usage, knowing the cultural background, cultural context of speaking. So, and then, when we starting with the certificate course, we'll move to the BA program in Ghanaian language and English, right? And then we are also preparing for master's program. We are working on all of that, where, which field that you are, you can offer the certificate course to learn the Akan language and usage. You may not need to do a degree in that. Yeah. But if you want an expertise in the field, we have BA programs, we have MA programs where you can offer Akan and journalism, especially for the local language broadcasters. Yes. Where you learn all that I was talking about, to have competence in the usage of the language. You have knowledge in the syntax, the semantics, the pragmatics, the stylistics aspect. So more cassette to the be but there's a way we do it as well. For instance, if it is news, you are you are presenting news. News is in news because it's serious business. Offer a best short news, and news is brief, straight to the point, and use a long proverb. It will distort the message. News, you are communicating, you are sending a message.
Sure.
So it should be brief.
Sure.
For emphasis.
Sure.
You don't have to do embellishment. And you na openia jekum ko se enya ye nkrodo chire dem fiafia ho na ye kan na papa no be hwe no wasumpi no news is serious. Oh kan asem tie say e betiawa no mampani so wadi dija ene amuna ne nam to be na afemu de so bia benya na afemu de enya afi na be kase na mampani kan na asem no say eso ekura na enso ekura na so ekura na so ekura konkron na hwan there be news enyesa. It makes the information hard to process. You are communicating, sending message, but you divert your audience attention to be thinking, trying to understand the proverb rather than concentrating on the news, the information you are putting out there. And it's stylistics ni we no nyina in it. And it makes you competent. Ubekam ema ye nika ema tiefu eni aje ho ma ye ode ema jawu station, what we call or sometimes it is the style of the station. It may be your style, but there's a way to do it a better fine, a better decent, and market of professionalism. Until we are collaborating. If you come to Unimark, we also do that where time will come where you say a do campaigner, politicians of Omoka Yukrum Kasa. Omobano Kanasa. Into Usia way no, and also no, a do baby as a Usia the mother tongue, the Ghanaian language, nekakra. Ne moment yes, Usia ne kanekeke. Also, usia the style, the speech acts theory, the cultural context of speaking. Yes, o pesa o catchy, no. Name mo beka bibia keke. Edu baby eja ujina a Christopher ma. You know the approach avoidance strategy or unko kase. Oh, many animal Christ. Well, inti abusia for madaro mama ba monto mami. Inti unya kase Christopher onto mawa na Muslims for no so eja omumu. You use the camaraderie strategy. Many animal Christopher. And you could do Muslim moms. Many are no Muslim for winning power with Tikopa, Trimpa, so when you're Muslim. But it is a camaraderie strategy. I will busia with them because you are pleading with them. Internal, Muso be party. Oh, Taliminia, why did the men found go? Even in radio discussions. Sometimes phone in brew hono. Most of us, oh, Bema na wada Roma uni yini o nti ene de mabe ma menchia mabusu apani o start say your bomb rane bema na uni ni no utima ya ode honorifics ni nyina ka ni nyina sua twi linguistics no nti no wonse no de afam na asem obeka no no wakako ni nyina ya political language politics the stylistics the ni nyina pragmatics strategy that you need to learn unima you know how to use it, where to use it, who to use it for, how to handle it in such a way, say, who did you man the crown? Would it be did you may na wenya locational response? Nia asem na okano wenya humu ayeni sunsanso papa. So when you na yebe kabo ni ache. See you ni market I tell you, it should be the first in always if you looking at language, whatever content that you want to use it for in your career. We should be the first. Yes.
Why are they applying? Number date 28 April 2025. First, I will catch you a TV so. One control to her. Ma catch you a TV so then. Obahima.
Yes.
Yen bonatofa say. So be say, ya wo me akani. Ya wo me akani nti meye. Betu me afa. Betu me akabiara. E debe na onu akro no. Or money free ho so feel say me akani. I didn't think that some kusua akan. I say me kusua mun sam nima ho sam do I didn't know na kono or ni refi ka che
ni refi say bibia se wonim kra na e dia emudo e wo mu nti wo ya kan ni ote kasa yese enye danta ene danta ene ni ade e bo ano nti no wonim na otimi ka keke no watia na udi dwuma bi na wohia mu nimdie mu da eno nti ne ye nyina akosua ade mi se senka ja me fi ahemfi a metete me nana me papa nom na ase na ehu hia se me san akosua nanso me hwe hu do akiri se edu ba bi a me hia mu nimdie na me de aye madwuma na me de na enya me nko awu na me de be kira de me de be man ya che so wo hwe nso empempie no nso eba ye kasa no se ye refi ye ho a metaka ho asempa se ye besua abon afoforo de kwa ye nsua ye de no esan se nimdie bi wo mu nimdie mapa nimdie bunu nyansa bunu a emudo a se wunim a nso bi o ya tete na ofia o kabrofo kra na se uhu sane ne kasa ne dimin ane ne ye ne sane o kauti mu se ya tete na ofie so onim nyansa o kafie nyansa ya na ye madwin se usua krom kasa on tebrofo me tomato me dani bisam so na we de obeka brofo na abeka twi na maka so kasa bia obesa o ka bia eto bia kasa osun akrom kasa na se bi uni munyansa ne ade nanso se wahwa titum panifo no even politicians in panifo mai titum o ka brofo kra na utumu se nyansa kasa bi a emudo ene radio so ama ye hu so se nipa bi ho mo nte brofo no nanso ka o ma ne kwan onya akwanya na o ka ne krom kasa na utumu se onim de onim nyansa onim fie nyansa wahu enti no de bia meka se ye sua de bia na nka ye sua ye krom kasa no se ye eve se eye ga se ye gadangbe se ye dagumba kasem ukrom kasa no eye akan fante eye bono kasa anase asante ekuapem ye sua ni nyina na ebeboa yen wo ye adwuma yem.
Nanope Dr. Nana Edima we afia kentan ama yate ase se okasa ma okasa wo hia wate na tie ase na sua ho ade
Yentete ye mofra no
sa nyamrema mofra tete wo ye na ho ase bro so afom ko Unimark for share Dr. Nana Edima nsa
be na
onyoma
waka sebna mayede be nampa
in fact
why are they
pa amamra no ma wani aje na be ka say be ya say ya me na so
yeah that's all
what. All right, thank you very much for watching. The segment will come to you shortly. So this break, stay with us. We're right back.
Water, share the love, and Bigo drinks.
He came to meet me back in Adisadel College as informed when he came into Foreman. But you see, for school, you know something. When let's just talk a little bit about school. You know, say then you come school. Let me switch into pidgin because we are doing at school things. As you come school, they in San come school. the first idea everybody can